All right, so we're about to do halftones. We're right back where we left off with the posterization. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click back over to this duplicate document we have. I've turned off the visibility on the posterize over here, so we just see the RGB. And I'm going to come to the history on my duplicate file, and I am going to go up to grayscale. And so this is important. In grayscale, um, we need to start here to get into the bitmap that creates the halftone. The other thing that I'm going to do is make sure everything is turned off. If you had the rhombus shape on and all, or the background on, this is what you definitely want to have this all turned off so that the only content we move forward now is the brain image or the area you want to turn, the imagery you want to turn into a halftone. You do not want anything else in the background, otherwise it will become part of the image. All right, so here we're going to go from here, grayscale, image, mode, bitmap. You're going to have to flatten the image. You can't get into bitmap without doing that. So the window that pops up, the bitmap window, you want the input is 360, which is what it should be. An output, I'm going to match it at 360. The method in which I'm going to create a bitmap is going to be a halftone screen. And I'm ready to hit OK and go to the next window, which is the halftone window. So in the halftone window is, there's a couple options here. And the first one I'd like to go through is the shape. And so here's your selection of shape. Now, we had round before. I'm gonna go ahead and just do, a line one because you've seen the round in the previous one. You can choose any shape you'd like. Choose line and go into the options for this. So frequency, lines per inch. Still says lines. If I didn't have lines as a shape, if I had round selected, it would still say lines. And essentially, per inch, how many dots are there going to be? In my case, how many lines will there be per inch? 10 is depending on the size, it's kind of a coarse uh, line screen, which means it's not going to have a lot of detail. And you can experiment. Let me do 20, and then degrees. I'm going to say let's do a 60-degree angle, and I'm going to hit OK. And so now I can zoom in, and you can see there's a line screen, and where there's dark, the line's thicker. Where it's lighter, it's a little bit thinner. They're all at this particular angle. It sort of looks like an engraving or a woodcut, right, using uh, this type of shape. And so now at this point, I have my screen. So I'm going to use this one and just go forward. Now at this point, I can't drag this over here. Just like when I had the duotone and I changed it from duotone type of image to RGB to drag it over here, I need to get this to at least grayscale. Right now it's a bitmap. And so what first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image, mode, turn it to grayscale, ratio 1, yes, because the 360 input matched the output. So it should be the same size. There's no scaling up of anything here. And so now it's ready to go. It's in grayscale. I'm going to leave it at this. But notice it was flattened. When I went from grayscale to bitmap, it had to flatten the image. And so now the black and the white is all merged on to the same layer. And this is a problem because I just want the black, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to magnifying glass and I'm going to zoom into this. And this is where your knowledge of your selection tools is very helpful. So what I'm going to do is I want to select just the black. And to do that, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to grab my magic wand tool because I can select black. Now these lines don't touch in some places, right? If I scroll down to some of the darker areas, they barely touch, right? A couple pixels maybe where they touch. But for the majority of it, it's not touching. So this is where I really need to, I'm not going to go through and select each black line. That's ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool. Tolerance, I could crank this tolerance down to 2 because it's black and white. It's very high contrast. I'm going to turn the contiguous off. I'm also going to turn the anti-alias off. I don't have any curves, but the other thing is a bitmap is either black and white. There's no values in a bitmap. And I just want a really crisp edge for this. And because it's already black and white, I don't want to introduce any values on any of the slight curves. I want it to just be black and white. So I'm turning the anti-alias off here. I'm going to come down and just click on the black. There it is. Now, it's hard to see because there's so many lines, but the marching ants are there. And so I'm going to zoom out. When I zoom out there, you can see the image is kind of, looks like it's moving. It's infested with my marching ants here. And so now I'm ready to go to the move tool. And I'm going to wait till I get scissors. All right, there's my scissors. You see them? I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to hold the shift key down, put it right down on top of that. And so essentially, I just, by dragging the black layer over, I'm going to put it on top layer. I'm going to put halftone. And let's zoom in so you can see what's going on top of this. And I could use this right on top of the photographic image as well. All right. If I turn the halftone off, there you see it. If I turn posterize on, you see there's posterization in the halftone. But here's one of the things. You need this to be in color. Right now it's just black. Black isn't part of any of your systems except for the create your own adventure one. So here's a halftone. And so now we need to color it. Let me go ahead and just turn there. Turn the RGB one off. So there's the halftone layer. And I need to color it. And so to color it, I need to find a color. I can come over here, click on my palette, and I can select here. Again, I could also go to my swatches, cancel, and say I want to get a RGB blue. I want it to be blue as you would see it on the color wheel. So I could click over in my swatches. And again, I could also come over here and I can manipulate it once I selected that color. So I've selected the blue from the swatch, and I can come over here and say, well, I don't want it to be, I want it to be a little bit of a lighter blue. So I can come over here and use that RGB blue as the source, and then here's my gradation for it. Now I hit OK. It's in my foreground color. So now the next thing I need to do is I need to fill the foreground color to replace these black lines. To do that, if I turn off the background, you can see that the black lines is the only content because I see my checkerboard behind there. So now I need to load that selection. Go to my halftone, cursor over the thumbnail, hold down the command key on a Mac. If you have a PC, hold the control key, click marching ants. Foreground color is chosen. I'm going to go to edit, fill, foreground color 100%. Okay. I want to get rid of my marching ants because it's skewing the color. Select, deselect. There it is. There is your halftone screen with a solid color. All right. Now we'll move on to flat shapes, the easiest one.